Thank you for joining us for this episode of Camp Conversations. I'm your host, Chelsea Bresnahan, and our guest today is a volunteer at Camp Freedom and a past first responder of the year, Jim Kuzmak. Thanks for being here.
Thank you for having me.
And how long have you been volunteering with Camp Freedom?
Just about since the inception, a little over 7 years. Kind of founded through a mutual friend who was fire chief at Meredith Hose Company, which covers kind of this area.
Mm-hmm.
And he had said, there's a new camp coming to the area, and it's going to help disabled veterans, first responders, Gold Star families at that point. And I said, geez, that's something I'd really like to be involved in, and see what it's all about. But with any nonprofit, you want to do some vetting and make sure you're giving your time to something that's truly meaningful and not just a fly-by-night organization. So started doing some research, came up, tipped my toes in the water a little bit, and meeting Bill and Laura, the owners, and then Matt and, Kelly and all of the other staff and the volunteers, I really knew it was something that was going to be impactful and something I wanted to be involved in. And they haven't got rid of me since.
Wow. What does volunteering at Camp Freedom look like?
So volunteering here can be anything from coming to the grounds, helping with the staff. The staff here, the paid staff here is very limited. 2,300 acres is very tough to take care of with the amount of people that they have on staff. They do a phenomenal job, but it's certainly augmented by great volunteers. So coming up, helping just on the grounds, helping to clean, helping to clear paths, trails, whatever the case may be, that's one aspect of volunteering. Simply just sharing posts on Facebook, simply reaching out, spreading the word that camp is here and it's such a valuable asset is another way. And then we have several events throughout the year. We have our large banquet that's coming up in June 20th. At the Hotel Anthracite. That's a very big event for us. That's our number one fundraising event. So volunteering there to help sell tickets, basket raffles, whatever the case may be, we're always looking for help with that. And then we have Summer Salute in August. We have a firefighting conference that I put on. We could talk about that a little bit. And otherwise, there's a plethora of opportunities to volunteer. Any time that's given to the camp is very well spent, and it gives tenfold back to the people that we're helping.
Now, like you said, you've been here since the inception, and Camp Freedom has grown in that time.
Most certainly.
So kind of tell me what it's like to watch that happen and be a part of it.
It's amazing and outstanding. I'm so happy and blessed that I've been able to be a part of that, going from seeing several dozen people to several hundred people to thousands of people now is incredible. I think over the course of the years, we're at just over 18,000 veterans, first responders, Gold Star families, Gold Shield families served at the camp. And volunteer hours are well over 44,000 volunteer hours in that time span. So it's certainly immensely growing over the course of that time.
And you see a lot of things similar to Camp Freedom that help out veterans. Mm-hmm. And what is it like to be a part of something that also helps out first responders?
Personally, that's more of my area. I never served, and I've been a first responder for almost 32 years now. So that's where I kind of came into play, was to hopefully attract those first responders in need, whether it be a firefighter, EMT, police, dispatcher, corrections officer, anyone in that first responder realm, to know the camp is here for them as well. Our veterans play a huge part in our life and our freedom. Our first responders also help with that as well from a day-to-day aspect. So the cumulative trauma that they see can certainly be impactful on their mental health, and have a place to go and just be a place of solace is amazing. And this is my happy place. As I pulled in, we met outside, and it is. It's a beautiful day today here. And when I come in, I just feel very calm. It's very serene, and it's just a place for me to be able to relax.
Nestled right here.
Absolutely, in Northeast PA.
Right.
It's crazy.
And like you said, the trauma for a first responder can be compounding.
Absolutely. Yeah, especially, I mean, you see it day in and day out, depending on the department you're with or the organization you're with. If you're an EMT, you're running 10, 12 calls in a shift, and some of them might not be as easy to handle as others. As firefighters, unfortunately, we just had a fatality in Wayne County up in Gouldsboro the other day. So those first responders have to deal with that and have to process that. Fortunately, it's not that frequent that happens, but when it does happen, we want to be a place here for them to be able to come and just relax and maybe get their mind off of that for a little while.
Sure. Now, how long have you been a member of a fire department?
So 32 years. William Walker Hose Company in Mayfield is where I still am an active member there. I'm the president this year, and that's where I started. That's where I got where my roots are grounded. So it's been great.
And how is that department doing in terms of volunteers?
It's difficult.
Yeah.
It's extremely difficult. We have a very aging volunteer service in the area here. We're not as progressive as other areas, maybe south or things of that nature. But to attract those volunteers is very tough. To retain them is even more difficult. We try to have the best department we can, and all departments are struggling with this right now. Funding is very difficult. So it's tough. It really is. So it puts an extra burden on those members that are always responding to these calls, because there's only the same 10, 12, 15 members that might be coming out.
What do you remember about 32 years ago when you became a volunteer firefighter, and how maybe the atmosphere has changed?
Oh, it's certainly a different environment now. Our life in general is more hectic now. So years ago, you had more time at night to volunteer, where people may not have been working second jobs, or they may not have had so many life aspects going on of their life, sporting events with kids and things of that nature. So it takes a toll on the volunteers to have themselves in all of these places. Years ago, the younger generation wanted to do more. They were more tactile. They were more wanted to be involved. It's a little tougher to get the younger generation involved now, as opposed to it was several years ago.
And so you don't have that younger generation that doesn't have those family obligations during the weeknights.
Yeah.
Coming in to kind of continue on
to backfill. We just had our yearly installation dinner of officers, and I was very grateful for several area representatives and senators. They presented some certificates of achievement to our members, and we had over 12 members that had over 40 years of service. They're aging out. So it's getting more and more difficult that as they start aging out, we're not getting those people to backfill, and it certainly takes a toll on the department and those active members that are currently involved.
Sure. And then how many chicken dinners a year, chicken barbecues?
We can't flip enough chickens or enough pancakes to make to what we need, and they're the same people doing that day in and day out. So it certainly takes a lot to run the organization. And I was president years ago and stepped away for a little bit and came back as president. I see it even more difficult now to get those funds and to buy the equipment. An average firefighter to outfit right now, head to toe with everything, is close to $30,000. That's a lot of money like I said, we can't flip enough chickens to make that kind of money. So it becomes very difficult between turnout gear, SCBA, radio, flashlights, everything that comes with responding and responding safely. It's a financial burden.
And then the trucks are
Trucks are crazy. Millions of dollars. Ladder trucks are well over $2 million.
And they're 5 years out.
Absolutely. Yeah. So you can't purchase a vehicle now if you're in need right now, because you have to wait 4 to 5 years to be able to get that in your apparatus bay.
And so are you part of like a task force where?
We have mutual aid departments.
Mutual aid.
Yep, absolutely. Mutual aid departments. And that's what we really rely on, the mutual aid anymore. All towns are. And it's a hard pill to swallow, but really need to look at regionalization or consolidation of a lot of these departments in the area. Would love to be able to see a more consolidated effort to have departments in strategic areas throughout the county and be able to operate a little more efficiently.
Yeah, because it's probably an easier ask for a regional department to ask for a fire truck than it is for to each ask for their own fire truck from like a representative.
Absolutely. And some of them 4 departments are in the same town.
Mm-hmm.
So it's even more difficult. And those 4 departments are making asks of the residents, and they're splitting it 4 ways, where if everyone was together, those asks are coming to one department, and you're not splitting them up. So it's a greater pot that you could build. So hopefully we'll get there in my lifetime. I'm not sure if we'll see that, but it would be nice to see.
You say it's a hard pill to swallow. Why do you think it's that? Just tradition? Legacy?
150 years of tradition unimpeded by progress is the old saying that they have for the fire service. But everyone has that pride in their department, and they don't want to see that go away. And I can understand that to a point. Everyone should have that loyalty to their department, but we need to look at the greater good of the fire service and the emergency services to provide the service that we're meant to provide. And that's to protect our community members and provide that level of professionalism to our communities so they know that they're safe.
Sure. What do you think comes out of being in that brotherhood, with that camaraderie with the men and women in the fire service?
The fire service has given me a lot. The brother and sisterhood that we've had, that I have in the fire service, is nationwide. I've met people from all over the country, as well as other countries, being in the fire service. So if you're willing to open up and to do different things, the possibilities are endless. I've met a lot of good people, great people, being involved in the fire service. I wouldn't be here if I wasn't involved in the fire service. So it certainly is something that I'm very passionate about. I'm very grateful for it, and I just want to see it be something that's there for the long haul.
How often do you see a firefighter come here to Camp Freedom?
Fairly regularly now. We have people that that I see all the time. Friday, I came up and met a good friend of mine that was here. He struggled, and I introduced him to camp, and he loves to fish. And when we accepted adopted the fishing program here, he was one of the first to come up, and it really was a game changer for him because it got him out of the house, and he's here almost every other Friday fishing, or on Wednesdays tying flies. So that makes me feel good because I know it helped, and I know others that it helped. So we're seeing more and more. The numbers are certainly more veterans to first responders, but we're steadily increasing those first responders, especially law enforcement, dispatchers, corrections, EMTs that are coming up, or that are realizing that it's an asset and a resource for them.
And we say, they come up and they come fishing, but it's not just fishing. It's
not to come catch a trout or a bass, trout down in the stream or a bass in the pond. It's healing. It really is. And it's a way for them to heal. It may not feel as intense as therapy or some clinician talking to them. It's peer-to-peer interaction. It's talking with brothers and sisters that may have the same background or similar backgrounds of veteran to veteran, first responder to veteran, first responder to first responder. That's what it truly means. And the friendships that have grown from that are lifelong, just like the fire service. The friendships that I've made are lifelong friendships. The friendships you have here may even be stronger forged than other places because they have that same dynamic behind them. That once they start talking, it truly saves lives. We've seen it, and it's documented, and it's something that I'm just grateful to be a part of.
Matt and I were talking about that on our first episode and how we've watched it happen
Yeah.
where an EMT has come here looking like a shell. They spend a day with Doc
Absolutely.
down on the river, and they come
Yeah.
back. It's like, welcome
Yeah,
back.
absolutely. It's something that you love to see. The person that comes once and then never comes back, they're the ones that I worry. Why? Why? We got to get them back because that repetitiveness of coming here, it really becomes, it's my place of solace. It really is. I love to come here, and I know others that do as well.
And that Fishing Fridays is open to first responders and veterans.
Absolutely. Yep. And it's
And Gold Star,
and
Gold
Gold
Shield
Star.
families.
Yep. It's a great way. Doc and Mike, Mike and Doc and the guys who run that fishing program are absolutely outstanding gentlemen. They love to see new faces, and they embrace them just as they do everyone else. And it's a great day on the river. Go down, fish for several hours, and then come back up to eat lunch here. And it's just really the camaraderie and the discussion around fishing. And if the people don't want to open up, it's just a way for them to talk about anything and have that ability to be with nature and be with good people that are interested in their well-being.
Sure.
So it's like I said, it's great to see. I try to come up whenever I can to help and see those changes in those people. And then with that, with the whole camp and my background as a first responder is what sparked my interest in running what I call now the Campfire Conference. And that it started 4 years ago with a vision that I had in my mind of bringing high quality fire service speakers to the area to be able to train our firefighters in all aspects of the fire service, whether it be leadership, whether it be tactical training as far as how to do certain things. And we started it very small, 70 people on a Thursday night at Happy Valley Sports Bar down in Dixon City. They were gracious enough to host me, and we had a great outcome, great turnout, great vendor support, people donating basket raffles, and 70 very like-minded individuals in a room together training. I'm like, this is great, and was able to raise some money for the camp. Was able to present them with a nice check, and I'm like, I think we could keep this going. So the first year was the deputy chief of Harrisburg City, Floyd Wise. He came up and spoke. We were friends, and he agreed to come up and speak, and great turnout. Next year, fast forward another year, and I'm like, well, we're going to do it again. And I outgrew Happy Valley and had to move it to Dixon City's firehouse.
Okay.
So I had almost 100 people. And I brought in the assistant chief of operations for Washington, D.C., Tony Kelleher, who we became friends with since then. He came up and spoke, dynamic presentation, and everyone was thrilled. So now they're like, hey, when are you doing it again? So last year far exceeded my expectations. I had the retired chief of department from FDNY, Tom Richardson, come in and speak. And I had 180 people register. I had to have it at the Manor on Main in Dixon City because I outgrew any venue that I could have imagined. and a Thursday night in Northeast PA was phenomenal. And that's when I really knew I kind of had something here. So this year, changed it up a little bit. I'm doing 4 speakers. It's at August 22nd. It's going to be in Manor on Main again in Dixon City. The lineup is a fire chief from Letterkenny Army Depot, Dave McGlynn, a lieutenant from the Frederick County Fire Department, Robert James, RJ, a retired captain from Stanford Fire Department, Jason Rivera from Connecticut, and then the owner and inventor of National Fire Radio, Jeremy Donch from New Jersey, are going to be my speakers. And it's shaping up to be an outstanding event. So an all-day event this year as opposed to a one-day event. And I'm really just trying to take my 2 passions of the fire service and training and Camp Freedom and mold them together to share light on camp, make sure people know what the camp is and what it's all about, and also bring very high-quality speakers in to train our first responders in the area.
Sure. So not only does this strengthen our firefighters here in our area, but it also exposes your guests and maybe their departments to the power of Camp Freedom.
Absolutely. And it raises funds for Camp Freedom. And we were talking a little bit earlier about, vetting the camp. And that was one of my huge things going into it, because I see some nonprofits where, their CEOs are getting paid extremely high, salaries. So I did some, research, and the camp here, they're taking it the highest 5% a year for their operating, and everything else is going back into the camp, which is huge to me because I know where the money's going. It's not people that are running the camp, and the people that are working here are passionate about the camp, and they're not looking for a paycheck. So that was one of those things that I really was impressed with, to be able to put all my eggs in one basket to be able to volunteer.
Sure. I mean, you are putting all of your eggs in this basket. You're also putting your reputation.
Sure, absolutely. It's something I'm truly passionate about. Anyone who knows me knows, there's family, the fire service, and Camp Freedom are the 3 things that I talk about the most. So I have a great career, and I'm blessed to have that. But these are the things I'm passionate about.
When you're out, what do people tell you they know about Camp Freedom? Like, oh, I volunteer at Camp Freedom.
Yes, some people know all about it. Other people are like, oh, what's that? And and they're like, really? That's in Carbondale? I'm like, yeah. It's nestled up in 2,300 acres of Northeast PA, where if you're driving up the road, you might be thinking that we're sending you on a wild goose chase. But then you pull into the gate and you see it, and you see that front monument out there with the camp logo on it, and you're like, wow. And then as soon as you pull in, you see the vastness and the majesty of it, and it's something that's just outstanding.
There is some majesty to it.
There is, absolutely. You stand up there, and you go out onto the island and the pond and in the gazebo, and you look out, and it's just especially a beautiful day like today, it's just so relaxing.
Do you spend time here on Fridays for Care Fridays?
I do. Yeah, when my schedule permits. It's a little bit tough. I have a very busy full-time career, but I try to make time whenever I can to come up and see the people that it's helping, because those Care Fridays are phenomenal. The informational breakfasts, that's a way for us to be able to, another way to give back to those veterans and first responders, but introduce those folks to other organizations. It's not just camp that's here. There's several organizations that are here helping those veterans and first responders.
There are thousands of veterans in our area,
absolutely,
in the greater Scranton area,
yep,
that still might not know about Camp Freedom.
Yeah, and with folks,
or even the resources that come to Care.
Sure. Yeah, and with your help and with our social media presence and, other people's help, just sharing, getting the word out, that's what it's all about. It's really showing people that it is here and it is a resource, because the more people that come here, the more we're going to help. And that's, the bottom line. I quoted Muhammad Ali in another podcast that I did, and it was, this the service that we provide here on earth is really our rent for being on earth. And, I find that pretty profound. Probably didn't do it justice the way he said it, but,
That's okay. We get it.
the service that we're providing to other folks, uh, you know, that's just as healing to me as it is coming here, right? So 7 years ago, I didn't know that I really needed this, but coming here, I've seen a change in, how I look at things and how I, deal with things. So it certainly helped me as much as the people that I'm helping by volunteering here.
Sure. Do you think it gave you more of a different perspective?
It has, yeah. It's helped me understand what I needed. You know, we're firefighters. We're or emergency service workers, first responders, and we're tough. And the same thing with veterans. I don't need this. I'm good. I'm good. You don't know you need it until you need it. And then, fortunately, I was able to find it before I truly knew I needed it. So I hope more people can do that and find it before they need it. Because it certainly helped me, and I know it's helped many others in their life's journeys.
Sure.
So yeah. So and going back to the conference, that gives me the ability, like you said, to spread that message, far and wide. I was very grateful and very honored to be able on another fire service podcast at National Fire Radio,
Okay.
and talk about the camp, and just tell people what it's about. So hoping we could spark things with that. Talking about maybe a retreat for first responders, for a weekend outdoor retreat. We're going to try to put that together potentially for early next year, and just really just get people involved and excited about the camp and what it does.
When you went on the other podcast and you told people about Camp Freedom, what was their reaction?
I think it went over very well. I think people didn't know about it. Obviously, we're in Northeast PA. We have a national presence. You talked about with Matt, 48 states that we've touched or have had someone here from. So we get those two. It would be great, to finish the 50, but they were niche, very, individual people from those areas. So the more we can get it nationally known, I think the more that we could help people. And, with that comes more exposure, comes, more benefits, more opportunities to raise funds, to do more here, to be able to provide more for our, disabled veterans, first responders, Gold Star and Gold Shield families.
Sure. And then add more to our family.
Absolutely. The more volunteers, the more people we could bring in here and show what this truly is about, and the magic of it. It's overwhelming. It really is.
Do you have any funny stories from Camp Freedom?
I wouldn't say funny stories. I have
Or serendipitous?
a lot of great memories. I've met a lot of great people through camp, people that I never thought I would meet or be friends with and speak to on a regular basis. Danny, the Count Coker from Counting Cars on the History Channel, and he has a new podcast out. He has a shop in Vegas, and getting to meet him the first time, was kind of surreal, right? Here's this movie star, TV star that's coming to the camp, and he's our spokesperson. And Kevin, Horny Mike, Ryan, all the cast, and the workers that work for Danny. And here I am now, like, I pick them up at the airport, I take them around, we go out the nights they come in. So that's that's surreal. Norm Hooten, who they had the movie Black Hawk Down about. Like, he was at the banquet, and he's thanking me for my service. And here's a true American hero. He's thanking me for what I do. And that was, again, another surreal moment to have someone of his stature and what he's done for the country. Um, just being in his presence was pretty phenomenal. So it's been great. It really has. Lifelong friends, Matt, Jamie, Frankie, G. Past employee. It's just you forged that bond here. Bill, who was standing outside, when we came in, just just great camaraderie and great friendships that now outside of here do things with, and they're the things that'll last forever. There's the memories. I was just so I guess serendipitous, but I was just given a sponsor hunt here by a great sponsor of the organization, um, Mike Cabbage and Doug Weiser. They sponsored a hunt for me, and I was able to hunt a raka sheep and harvest a raka sheep, which was pretty awesome. It was a pretty surreal experience for me. It was a great time here, um, and they're those memories that I'll cherish forever.
So I was here when you guys went out. You
Hmm.
all got onto the Jeep
Yep.
and you went out there. So walk us through what a hunt is like, because I've never been on one.
So a hunt is, we have many different species of animals, on site, and we're developing other programs. Matt and Jamie are doing an outstanding job with developing other programs here on the grounds of camp. But we went out, and I was blessed to have a friend of mine from outside of here who also comes to camp. Alex Douglas was here with me, and he was able to go on the hunt with us, which was great. But we get out to our spot, and then this was really a kind of a spot and stock kind of hunt, and those little sheep they move. So it was challenging, but it was just a great time out in the wilderness and in the outdoors with great people that I was blessed to share that hunt with, and that's really what made it outstanding. It wasn't the harvest. It wasn't the. It wasn't the anything other than the experience and the people that I was able to share it with is really what truly made it something that I'll never forget.
And it was a beautiful day, too.
It was gorgeous, except for a little bit of rain. We had a little bit of like a quick rainstorm came through, but it was a gorgeous day. You know, when the hunt was just about ending, the sun came out. It was beautiful. So it was a great day. It really was.
And so to know what that experience meant to you, how much does that motivate you to continue the work here to share
Oh,
experiences like that with others?
absolutely. I mean, regardless of the hunt or not, I was blessed to be able to do that and honored that someone would sponsor a hunt. Um, it just more ingrained me here. I'm not going anywhere anyways, so I'm locked in, and I'm here, until Matt or Bill or someone gets rid of me. But that certainly just opened a new level for me, I guess. You unlock those life levels, and that was just another level that I was able to unlock and have an experience now that I could share and talk about with great people was outstanding.
And so you know firsthand that when we ask for donations or we ask people to sponsor hunts, it's not just a hunt.
No, no, it's an experience. It's a lifelong memory, a core memory that you unlock by doing that. It's the people you're with. Our extended stay hunts here on camp, they're an application process through our website for disabled veterans, first responders, Gold Star family, and Gold Shield families, where they apply and they come in, and we bring about 40 or so hunters in a year for an extended stay hunt. That money is going directly to those folks. It's no cost to them, other than some travel expense, but they're coming here, they're getting meals, they're getting lodging, they're getting a hunt of a lifetime. And that memory and that opportunity is something that you really can't put into words. And for those folks that have been able to do that and be able to have that experience, they're they're locked in as well. They're
And
here for the long haul.
last week we had Tom Yeager here,
Mm-hmm.
and he said he was anxious about coming for an extended stay, and then how afterward he didn't even want to leave.
Right. Yeah. And that's what it's all about. And it's having that impact on people that truly need it. There's another true American hero, right?
Mm-hmm.
That was impacted in a way that, he knows, and he's spreading that, the word about camp and how good and how real it is here.
And it almost seems, they say less is more.
Yeah,
And that's almost how it is at camp.
it is.
It's just nature and peers.
Exactly. Nature and peers. There's no, I don't want to say fluff, because there's a lot of fluff, but in a good way. We have a beautiful cabin. We have, the meals are great, all of that stuff, but it's truly just outdoors and good people. The peers that you're talking to are great people. The ambassadors that we have, I'm blessed to be a part of that ambassador group that helps reach out to those hunters coming in and stay in contact with them. The time here and the time with those folks is invaluable. It really gives them the chance to open up to each other, open up to others that may come in. So having that and having that ability to do that, again, I said it several times, is life-changing and life-saving. And that's what it's about. It's, healing through outdoor adventures. That's our motto here at camp. And it's truly been reflected in many people throughout the 8 years that the camp has been here.
And when you say ambassador program, that is when people come for an extended stay.
Yep.
And then you sign up to stay in touch with this person for at least the next year.
Correct. Yep. So there's several of us that do that. We'll be assigned like 4 hunters that come in, and then we just reach out to them either before if they have any questions, and then follow up with them afterwards to see how they're doing. Did it make an impact? And a lot of them are back. We have many people who've come to camp to do a hunt through that program, and now are volunteers all the time. Bill Wilson, who became a great friend, he's retired from the military. He's also an NYPD officer. At 9/11, he's another one locked right in. I hear all the time. So it's people like that you love to see make a difference with, because you see the fruits of the labor here be rewarded through helping people like that.
Sure.
So yeah, it's great. Even the helmet that's sitting behind me here, that's a gentleman who was an FDNY. He's retired from FDNY. Dan Prince. He lives in the area, and he also is an ambassador for the Gary Sinise Foundation, and he has the Spartan sword that he's kind of the custodian of. And the Spartan sword, if you don't know what it is, and individuals could look it up, but it's a sword that was made from steel that was touched from American heroes at the Walter Reed Hospital, and they forged that into a sword. And it is there's a pledge that goes with that to say that I will not take my own life before talking to my battle brother. And it's a very powerful piece of steel that has very significant meaning. And we've been lucky enough to have it here at camp. And the Spartan axe, which is very similar on the firefighting side of it. And he gifted us that helmet to have here and to display proudly. And we're coming up on our 25th anniversary of 9/11, which is a huge milestone or a huge anniversary in the fire service.
Sure. So you'll probably be talking about that at your conference in August.
Absolutely. Yeah, we'll talk about that. And then we also, with camp, I've been, again, blessed to be on the committee. We run a Never Forget 9/11 golf tournament. This will be our 3rd year for that. So we're doing that again this year. That's on September 14th, the Monday after September 11th. And last year I was, again, grateful that Chief Richardson, who was the chief of the department now, he's the top other than the commissioner. He played with us in the golf tournament, which was huge. And, to have that firsthand, he was there on 9/11. He was a battalion chief at the time. And hear it firsthand from him, as well as other responders that were there from 9/11. That's what it's all about, right? We don't want to forget that, historical event. And sadly, the younger generation of firefighters coming up that weren't even born then, that are now able to be firefighters, they don't hear a lot about it. It's not in a lot of textbooks in schools and things of that nature. So really want to, when we're training them, we make sure that they know what a profound impact that event had on the fire service in America.
It's wild to me to meet people who,
Yeah.
I mean, I was young. I was in 5th grade,
Yep.
but I was living in Annapolis, Maryland at the time, and my
Yeah.
father worked in Cheverly,
Okay.
so outside of
Yep.
D.C. And I had a twin brother who was home with the chicken pox, but we had a neighbor who was a United pilot.
Oh, okay.
And my mom was out in the cul-de-sac talking to the neighbors, and they said the pilot came out of his house, white as a ghost, ran into the cul-de-sac to tell them what had happened. Mom came home, brother is at home with the chicken pox watching TV, and they turned it on just to see the second plane.
Yeah.
And then my father said that from his break room at his office building, they were watching the coverage of the Pentagon, but through the window, they could also see the smoke.
It's crazy. I'll never forget where I was. I was working at Wegmans at the time in Dixon City. And, being a first responder at the time, you see this, and then it was like instantly, fixated on the, and then when the collapses occurred and everything else. And
were you a firefighter at the
I
time?
was, yeah. Yep. And I had a good friend that worked for Dulles Airport. So he was responding to the Pentagon. So, all this, friends on the FDNY that were obviously responding. So it was certainly something that, took a toll on you at that point. Even though you weren't directly involved, you had relationships and friendships with people that were responding, and you didn't know what was going on next. So it was pretty crazy. I'll never forget where I was and what was going on at that point in time.
And our area does have connections to it too. I mean, we have people who are like from outside Nanticoke who were in the FDNY, and then they come and do their bike run every year by
absolutely.
LCCC.
Yep, absolutely. Many FDNY firefighters were from the area that, either were there during that event or went out right after when they started hiring, but during the event, several names stand out to me of people, and unfortunately they were lost in the towers. So want to make sure no one forgets about that. So that's why we put on, and we do it in the area. We do it at Woodlock Springs, which has, that area has a high population of retired FDNY firefighters.
Sure.
Transit,
Pike County, right?
Yeah, Pike County Transit, Port Authority, NYPD. So all of those agencies that were directly involved with that, we want to make sure we're not forgetting those.
Yeah, big year for them.
So it's certainly the scars are deep, and a lot of healing, and it's talking to a lot of those firefighters that, I'm friends with now that were there. You could see the toll that it took on them.
Sure.
So, yeah. So just, again, we're, trying to keep them remembered. And this year, I believe Chief Richardson's coming back with his own foursome, which will be great. So have some more retired FDNY guys golfing together, and looking forward to that too. So we always have something going on. There's always something we could use help with here at camp.
And like we said before, it's not just a hunt. It's not just fishing. It's not just golf.
No.
It matters who's around you and who's with you at the time too.
Exactly. And the grounds are so expansive here, from fishing, biking, hiking, walking, archery, shooting, an amazing world-class shooting range that we, are finishing up, which is absolutely crazy. 1 mile long shooting range is absolutely wild. And we're able to have those local law enforcement officers come up and train here. It's a spot for them to train. It's a spot for them to be able to use to get a facility that they might not get someplace else. They might have to travel to. So again, there's so much here to know about and to learn about, and that's just what we're trying to do.
All right. Encourage people to check out Camp Freedom.
Absolutely. Check it out. All of our social media pages, they do a great job with that, our website, and just come and visit. Come up and check it out. Come up during the week, register, and come up and check it out and see what it's all about.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for being with us today.
Thank you, Chelsea, for having me. I greatly appreciate it. I'm honored.
Thank you for your service, too.
Thank you.